it's going to be a zone fiesta when that zone starts to catch up. You already saw Benji kind of mark that southeast island because he's aware that that is where the zone's going to be, right? That's where the last moment where the storm's going to be. So they're going to take the last storm ticks, have the most white HP possible. So these guys were allowed to use the campfires, but at this moment the zone's starting to catch up and no one seems to be implementing that strategy over to the north, which we thought Amar's team would be doing.
Oh no, so many players getting knocked now. It's absolute chaos, and you can just see in the minimap at the bottom right, all these players just on this storm line here.
1 HP per second. So this is just slow. They're stuck deep in the storm, and it seems like now that's enough. Like Vadil has been eliminated, but at the same time, they're going to be able to get in a res circle where they're going to be able to heal each other up until this becomes a 2-tick zone.
You can just see all of these knocked players just crawling around in the zone now.
No, if he finished that player down below, that could have been it for him. But unfortunately, no, we switched over the POV of Indreta, who's down. But I think that's Savage. And no, the whole team's down now. I was going to say up. They don't have the kind of res strategy that we're seeing from so many different players now. Amar did end up sacrificing himself. Again, how many of our teams are still alive? We got Frist's team still up. We still got Seventor's team, who actually had less white HP earlier. But I guess they just knew the strategy straight away. So they decided, you know, it didn't really matter. They were still going to implement this going into it. This was funny because remember looking at the player count for this, and it was 99, then it went to 96, and then it went down to kind of 86, and it stayed there for a long time while these players go down. It just dropped to 15. They just absolutely dropped off the face of the earth down to this. We're now down to 8 as more players are actually being eliminated as well down here. So we're kind of whittling it down slower and slower. That bring you back to the old days where you just get to an end game and you see so many people still spectating you at that moment?
It does bring back those memories, I'll tell you that much. Look, you know, people are saying, you know, Fortnite BR, what does that BR stand for? It's Battle Revive. Battle Revive. Who can revive the longest? And for how much longer, right? Because I believe now the storm is going to start ticking for 5, and with the storm ticking for 5, they're not going to get this revive off. And so it's Chapix, Yanis, and Pereira who are going to win. Chapix and Janis being FNC as champions.
Yeah, I think that's a play. I think that's a good play. You're definitely be able to get good loot from that, potentially enough. But if we're moving over to Steelix's trio up in Craggy, they seem to be fighting for it right now with Verox and Surgical in his team. They are actually managing to get the weapons. They've managed to get enough. I think that's pulse rifles in their inventory. Now able to knock out the alien shits above and give themselves some loot to fight. But Bad Sniper now, kind of struggling in the back zone, but manages to actually knock. I think that's an AI that he managed to pick up the elimination on to start with, but no.
Look, I rate Amar's skills, but you know, that's a lot. You know, that's a lot. Carrying Reason and Vidil is no easy task whatsoever.
Look, we were switching over to last game winners of Janis and Chapix playing with Pereira as well. This inventory ain't looking too juicy for them. We've seen the 3 grenades in Janis's inventory right now.
In a game full of trios, just those two as a duo, it's going to be difficult, especially when they have so much pressure being applied to them here. Baffo, having to get out via the UFO, and his teammate's been taken out as well. He's the lone player within this trio, and it's not looking too good for him, Reese. He's run into a difficult place here.
He's getting pressured by another UFO, by grenades, by spam at the same time. He's trying to make his way through the builds. You mentioned he has not enough materials. He's down and he is out. So it's actually a pulse rifle elimination. So,
you know, clearly well thought out, but you know, for how much longer? You know, I'm expecting to see some nades just chucked into the middle here at some point soon, but who knows what's going to happen. You can see Motor gliding across your screen. It's getting pretty chaotic, and you can see players even going down. Kendine getting taken out there. Looks like it was from Seti's trio. You can't afford to just get caught out here in these zones. No, it was Belix that actually took him out.
3, 4 floppers and maybe a med kit for themselves as well. So they're completely stacked and ready to go. But looking on high ground, we noticed up Verox with Surgical, a Goblin, and also Steelix up on height on this kind of south side of the zone, trying to ramp their way in, trying to make their way in with the Solar team on height at the other side. Man, this is the Solar team kind of in their aspect here, using with all of these materials going back to the OG days when they're used to having 3k mats total.
Yeah, those guys posturing for height is no surprise whatsoever. We saw high up in the standings, you know, they were going into this game, and so they're looking to try and create a gap at the top. But Deal Amar and Reason, though, they're playing catch up in the meantime. 7 points, not too much to catch up on, but you know, there is a gap. You can see now running into trouble down below. They may be able to close it with a couple of eliminations. You can see they are just sort of scurrying away. It is incredibly difficult under these circumstances to go for anything of that sort. But with zone playing to their favor, they don't necessarily have to move as much. They are just going to use the mats they have to claim as much as they possibly can, get as many opportunities to get edits, take people's builds. There's still a lot of people in here, Reese, man. There is still plenty of opportunities for eliminations. And definitely potential for that heal off to come in at some point.
Absolutely. You know, I think Amar, Vadil, and Reason have probably set up the best we've seen out of anyone so far, right? With just the pure amount of heals that they have on each other. They also have the Slurp Cannon, which will heal 15 a tick. So they seem to be in a really, really good spot. Unlike Bad Sniper and Esty, who are just trying to make themselves their way in. Just trying to do anything, honestly, that they can to get into this next zone. They've managed to make their way in. Luckily, they managed to have the Mythic Pulse Driver, but player comes in behind. Actually manages to tag him up, but there's no box fighting strategies happening here with the window peaks or anything. It's just pure spray getting in. Esty somehow manages to stay alive at this point when Bad Sniper is picked up, but Esty still manages to keep his distance despite the fact his builds are on fire. I think he managed to actually pick up an elimination at that point too, but ooh, so did Harmy. Was that a potential pickaxe elimination that we've just seen that we've missed out on a little bit there? That it could have been crucial for them, honestly.
Harmy picking up an elimination, and it will have to be more than just his first, because these guys, it's getting dire. You know, many players being taken out here at this stage in the game, and we saw how chaotic it was getting for certain players and how chaotic it's getting for Harmy here, player in his box as he's hop on over back to Amar, who, you know, we talked about how well positioned they are. It seemingly is paying dividends here. They are just playing so tightly packed together. The distance isn't there, the separation isn't there. Many of these players still in the lobby won't be a full trio. These guys have that advantage. They have pulse rifles available to them, and so I expect to see these guys start to clean up, and you can see it here. Edits coming through, looking for that angle. Amar slow to get it, but eventually they do pick up that elimination, and they pick up another. That's going to be Ash taken down. 2 eliminations, that's 2 extra points as they move on over through this zone. Zone is starting to move. We talked about it not being the same. It's finally getting into their comfort zone, just what we know them to do. They're going to potentially even look to drop down on low. They spot the players, you know, lurking around in that range, and so looking to see if they can just capitalize, get many more eliminations. They have the heals, they have the weaponry, they have the man advantage, and I expect them to continue to take care of it here.
They're leaving Fragger Amar at the back of the tarp to see what he can do, see if he can pick up any eliminations on the player behind the hole. He's got the AR, he has the controller aim too, hopefully, but no, his player gets dropped down. I think that was Vadil who gets dropped down out of their tarp, so he's split. So the fact that they have the Slurp Cannon is going to be a little bit more difficult for them as a team. But Reason also gets dropped down onto a ton of loot, but manages to create a good layer for himself. They're staying into a good position, but Vadil is actually knocked in the back of the zone. I'm not sure if he was the one who had the heal chug cannon at all, but again, now Amar getting stuck in the back of the zone. He's taking that 10-tick storm. He's going to be picked up as well, so it's down to Reason as a solo left alive. He doesn't look too happy with that, but they managed to pick up a ton of eliminations in this game. Reason was still looking healthy too at that moment, right, as we move over to Harmy, who, for a team who had no weapons, has done incredibly well this game.
Harmy looking actually incredibly good, and you can see players just running across his box, but he wants no business. He doesn't have a weapon still. He just has his heals, and with a player in his box, he's going to have to opt for the pickaxe, but it's not going to be enough. He gets taken out, and so Harmy is now down and knocked. At least Kato all alone, and Nugget is the one that takes him out. Nugget will eventually meet his demise as well, and so Harmy, who was looking good, all of a sudden just out of the game completely, leaving his teammate there to try and heal it off and win it all. Kato now will continue to build his way through. You can see there's 10 players remaining outside of Kato, but he hasn't got much available, and with a full trio down below, the NA trio themselves, Frisk coming in here looking to pick up another elimination. One of his teammates going down, and with Frisk barely on any HP, he's going to be looking to try and do as much damage as possible. The nades coming in, trying to apply pressure to the rest of these players in this lobby who are potentially looking for the heal-offs. He's watching bodies drop all around him as he just waits for Visual to try and win the heal-off. Visuals here with the chug cannon, with the med kit, with the bandages. It's turned into Refscar just trying to stay alive, and you can see how difficult it is when you have a multitude of players, you know, aggressing you. You're not able to cover all angles as efficiently as you normally would, and so it gets incredibly difficult for them. Savage and Andrea being completely taken out of the game, and Refscar just going to look to hide. And I think that is going to be his best option. Chilling here in the bush, Refscar. You do not want to move, buddy.
No, he's moving. The zone's catching up behind him, but He's been knocked, and Dogbe's also been knocked here too. So they're getting pressured by, I think, the Solary team because they are split here at the top. But no, the whole team is actually picked up. The entire team is down, so they were in a good spot with Resguard by himself. They managed to make a push out, but unfortunately they are all picked up.
Yeah, and you can see here now, player count is starting to thin out, and with just 13 players remaining, and the zone getting even closer compact, things are starting to go down. You said, ooh, I can see a lot here, but what I do want to highlight is the fact that we have a player going down in front of our screens. Matsu, Marine, and Gerlenko are going to take him out, and so that's going to be another elimination for that team, but things are not safe yet. Marine is in the middle of a battle, and he actually goes down, and so will Matsu. And both the pros in this trio, both of the, you know, critically acclaimed pro players have gone down, leaving their teammate to fend off for himself, and he will eventually be taken out there. And so from going from a position of strength may not be fine, because Boomter and Blaster do no longer have a Mexa on their side. He had some technical difficulties, and so they're gonna have to now fend off for themselves, and these nades could be huge if they can do enough structural damage, and it seems like they can. So much full damage being taken, no knocks coming out of it. They got to be careful not to be knocked out themselves. This was a phenomenal play, an absolutely phenomenal play. Those nades were pinpoint perfect, but once again, like I said, he's got to be careful not to take too much damage himself. About 30 HP, lost 2 full damage there. And this is going to be difficult for these guys.
It's going to be tough. And again, they're trying to solidify themselves as the high point. They're trying to get height. They're trying to build up as much as they can, but you can't solidify that much with ramps, because how do you connect? You can only connect to other ramps that start on the same layer, the same area, but they're trying to build up for this final. I think this is a 2v1 at this moment. Teak is actually still alive. Shizo goes down there. Sei still up as well. The beautiful shots coming out now from the Solary boys. This has got to pull them up to the top of the leaderboard. They're using the railgun right now to go through with the recon scanner. Very reminiscent of the start of the season. A ton of players getting beamed. That's a shot that unfortunately misses. Recon scanner bolts going all the way through, everyone being highlighted to figure out where they are, but these shots aren't going down. Blaster manages to connect with another one. They have the high ground, but Blaster's actually now down to white HP. He's extremely weak. That's a crack. That's another elimination right here. And guess who the final one is? That is gonna be Kubex, alive deep in the storm right now. It has not set in. They have not figured out what's happening yet. They'll figure out the Kree strat soon enough.
You can see them looking up, Hunter looking up at the sky, wondering where this player is. You're going to have to look a bit deeper than that one, son, because there is nobody in the zone. You can shoot the rockets into the sky all you want. There's no one there to be found. You're just going to have to wait it out. Hope that the Kree strat eventually does fail them. But at the moment, they've been able to clear everybody out in the zone. They've done a great job of clearing everybody out. And I think now they've realized they do have to just play for the heal off. They've realized that, you know, there is somebody healing in the zone. They probably didn't think this was possible, but now they have to be ready for it. And if you take a look here at Cubex, you know, he does have floppers available, and there potentially will be a couple more slurp barrels for him to use, but time is ticking for him. And it's funny because, you know, Kree himself, the originator, sorry, of this tactic is Polish. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, from one Polski to another, Cubex looking to avenge Kree, who fortunately wasn't able to do much of his tactic in the end. And you can see timing it right, making sure he can maximize the amount of barrels he uses. But with just one flopper left and a couple slurp barrels available, it's not looking likely, is it, Reese?
For them, because the other team is still alive. The Solar Boys are still in the zone. It's not even closed fully yet, but that's a second for them, which, remember, will gain them 5 placement points. I don't think they got any eliminations there. And you've got to think at this point, let's be real, the Solar Boys picked up the victory royale here because Kubex didn't have the heal strat down 100%.